Welcome to my cafe, my pet info cafe. Pour yourself a warm cup of coffee or tea and let's chat about our love of animals. I am your host, Jennifer Eileen, and I am so delighted to introduce our topic today, how to talk and listen to your pets. Please welcome my guests, Jen Parkinson, owner of Billion Dollar Graphics, and Margaret Malkasian, M3 Animal Communication, and our VIP, our very important pet guest, Ash. So welcome everyone. Ash, you've got the hang of this. So Ash is an experienced interviewer because he was here and was aired in an episode with Jen and her husband Mike in January, which is where I learned about the story about animal communication. And Margaret, you and Jen know each other from the neighborhood, from dog walking. So tell me about how you met.
Well, I would visit my parents at my parents' neighborhood, and I would see Jen or Mike walking Ash, and I've always been so drawn to animals, and every time I would see him, I would run over and say hi to him and pet him and greet him. And I ended up moving into that neighborhood, so I see him a lot more frequently. And every time I see him now, he runs across the street and sprints over to say hi to me, and I always have some kind of treat ready for him.
Well, that's sweet. And then at some point in this friendship, the topic of communicating with Ash came up. How did that happen?
Well, Margaret lives in my little route, my little circle that I do every day with Ash, our walking circle. And I had just adopted Ash. It was probably maybe within a year, maybe a little less than a year, 6 months or so of adopting him. And we were having a conversation about it. And I was, concerned. I was wondering whether I should still crate him because he seemed like he was doing such a good job on his own. And just if there was anything that he particularly wanted or liked, I said, I wish that he could communicate this to me, and so I could make him more comfortable at the house and happier. And then Margaret said, well, actually, and she was starting her business at that point, and I think I was one of your first customers.
Yes.
So yes.
Yes, Jen was Ash was one of my first clients.
Yes, Ash was your first.
Ash was one of my first clients. I started an animal communication business, and I said, hey, if you guys know of anyone and anything, and Jen and I just happened to be talking about it, and she wanted a reading, and so that's how I connected for one of the first times with Ash.
And you and Ash are very good friends because when he came into the studio, he would just jump immediately. Of course, it might have helped that you had treats in your pocket. That always helps. So Jen, just a go back, because in episode 47 we talked about you adopted Ash from Lucky Dog Rescue.
Yes.
You've adopted many rescue dogs.
Yes.
And he just had this special personality that you just knew immediately was yours.
Yes.
But because of your previous experience, you knew it took sensitivity and patience to create the right environment for him.
Yeah, exactly. When we first got him, I know he was very timid. Like with any rescue, any dog that you bring into your house, it's a new environment. And a lot of times, especially with rescues, they've been through a lot. You don't know if they've been in bad situations or had been abused. And so you're learning each other. You're learning each other's boundaries. You're learning what each other likes and their dislikes. And one of the things with Ash too is that he was sleeping under our bed. So he seemed like he was a little scared. And I wasn't sure what I could do to break him out of his shell. He was also, he is highly intelligent, and he seemed to learn the ropes, learn how we did things around the house very quickly. And that's why I was wondering at a very early stage, could I leave him out by himself? Because I was tempted to do so, but I wasn't sure because, I was afraid of him getting hurt or getting into something that might hurt him. But it's like he already knew. It's like he was reading me.
Yeah.
I could tell what we expected and what we wanted of him. And when I was talking to Margaret, because I also like, I love tarot cards and getting readings and all, so that was another way we bonded. And I had heard about animal communication, but I had never really tried it before. I'd seen videos or seen shows about it, but it was so interesting to kind of pick her brain and figure out, like, well, how does this work? How did you learn about this? And that is what she had told me about Ash really helped me Mike and I take our relationship with Ash to the next level so that we could really help each other out.
That's great.
Yeah.
And so, Margaret, to that question, how did you learn?
Well, I had a few dogs in my life, and my very first dog that I had was diagnosed with cancer. And I did everything I could that the doctors told me to help him. And I also did as many alternative therapies that I could to help him, because it's not just the medical side, it's also the holistic side. I wanted everything to work together to help Hobbs. And through my search for any other alternative therapies or holistic things that I missed, I found animal communication because I had known nothing about it. So when I found it, I took my dog, Hobbs, to an animal communicator. And through that session, she told me that your dog is saying, you need to do this. And so I was blown away, and I had no idea that I even had this gift or this ability, but she said, your dog is telling me he wants you to pursue this too. So I said, okay. So I did. And that's how I got started.
It is.
Yeah, it was very interesting, very interesting. The images that I would see, the communications that I would get, the feelings I would feel. It was unbelievable. I didn't trust it at first, but it's real.
So you told us when we chatted about how Hobbs still comes to you even after he's passed.
Oh, God.
And you see him in a green light.
I do. So
Say more.
Of course. So I had been taking the class for a few weeks, and on the morning of one of Hobbs's acupuncture appointments, he just looked so tired, and he was laying on the floor. And of course, I was laying on the floor with him, and I was just saying, I know it's hard, we're going to acupuncture. And I told him, I said, you need to find a way to let me know that you're ready to leave your body, because I don't want to let you go too soon or let you go too late. So in that moment, he showed me like a little mini movie, and he showed me myself sitting on the floor. And I had this red sweatshirt at the time, and I was wearing the red sweatshirt, and he showed me his body was in my lap, and he was standing off to the side. And it's like he was telling me he's ready to leave this body, because he's done with it. He's ready to go. He's ready to leave. So, and he was standing there in a little, like in a green light. He wasn't white anymore. The body was white in my lap, and he was standing in a very green glow, but he was looking at me, and it's almost like he was kind of like tap dancing in a way, because he was saying like I'm ready,
Yeah,
like I'm ready to be
ready.
not in pain anymore.
Yeah.
So that's how Hobbs told me that he was ready to go.
Yeah.
And over the years, I feel him, I sense him. There are moments where I'll feel like a tingle on the left side of my body, and I know it's him because he would always walk on my left, and Molly always walks on my right. So I know, like, if it's the left side or right side, I know who's with me, but they're always around anyway.
Well, that is such a important moment, because animals see death very differently than we do, and so to have that affirmation and relief but it also kind of opened the door for you, I think, and thank you for explaining how you perceived all of that. And let's talk about how you answered, how Ash answered the questions that Jen asked you. That would be very helpful.
Of course. So I guess the way I connect to animals is I'll put myself in a meditative state and kind of just open my mind and connect my heart to the animal. And depending on what the question is, if the animal, or if the owner wants to know what scares you, I'll feel something that gives me the feeling of fear, and I'll kind of pass it along to the animal, and I'll ask the animal, hey, recognize this feeling and tell me what makes you feel this way. and they'll find a way to send me back an answer. And most of the time it's a picture or an image or a video in my head. Other times it's a feeling or a song lyric or a word.
Yeah.
But this time, I keep wanting to call him Hobbs.
I do too.
I do, right? I swear to God, he's here.
Hobbs is here.
Yeah. Ash showed me a picture of this very scary looking mask type of thing, and it was in my head, and I started to feel scared. I know, buddy. Oh no,
He's picking up on it.
It's not here,
It's
Ash.
all right,
It's
honey.
okay.
It's all right. It's all right.
So he sent me a picture of this mask, and I took as many notes as I could about what I was seeing, and it was very distinct. It had like a cloak over the head. It was like you called it an executioner mask.
Yes.
And it had a very distinct nose and facial features, and it was dark and scary looking. And so I took all my notes, and I said, okay, well, I'm going to trust whatever messages I'm receiving.
Mm-hmm.
And
you had never been to Jen's house.
I had never been to Jen's house at that point.
No, 'cause we had known each other just through
walking dogs
yeah,
and
walking
on the
dogs
street.
and all.
Yeah.
And we've developed a friendship over the last few
Yeah.
years. But yeah, we didn't know each other that well, so that's why it was also really cool to get that a lot of the points that she hit on really were really close to the heart. So
Yeah. So say more about the mask. So
Okay,
you've got
okay.
this strange
So
image,
I
like, where
did.
did that come from?
I saw this thing and I said, I'm going to trust it, wrote it down. And then after I ended the session, I sent Jen a text. I said, hey, do you mind if I swing by? I want to talk to you and show you all
Yeah.
my notes and tell you what I saw.
Yeah.
So I, walked to her house because it's very close. And I was sitting there, and I think I started, the first question was, what scares you?
yeah.
And I said, Ash talked to me about this mask-looking thing, and he did not like it. And I started describing it to Jen, and she said, hold on. And she ran upstairs somewhere and came back down, and she was holding the mask that I was describing, or that he was describing.
Yeah.
I know.
It's all
he
right,
did not
honey.
like it. I'm sorry.
And it was funny. It's a vintage Halloween mask, probably like it was my husband's father's mask, like that he had back in the 70s or early 80s, and it is very scary looking. And Ash was upstairs in one of our storage rooms, and I happened to find it in a box as I was sorting, and I was like, and I put it on and turned around, and Ash had been with us just for a few months at that point, and he just flipped out. He started barking and growling. It was really, really upset, and I had to take it off. And I had the mask. I said, see, it's okay. But I just hadn't realized how upset he was. So I made sure never to get that out again and bother him again with it.
No, he did not like that.
No.
He did not like that at all.
No.
Well, I think that's a good example because you had never seen this mask. And in terms of talking about how do you trust what you're seeing, and there it was. So
Yes.
Yeah.
It's interesting because sometimes the messages that I receive are so quick; they're very fast. Other times, I can see it for maybe 3 or 4 seconds, so I can describe it in more detail. And the mask was in more detail. It stuck around in my head for a while. And so I know it affected him. And not to blame you, but
I just thought, it'd be kind of cool to put it on, and I didn't know it would scare him that. Oh, poor baby. But Margaret,
He's yawning now. He's all right.
he's okay. He's okay now.
well, Margaret, when she was going to do Ash's reading, she gave me a list of questions.
That's right.
Which I thought was really helpful because it helped me narrow down like what exactly I wanted to know about Ash.
Yeah, I like to give, I guess, clients a list of questions just as a guide, because sometimes if you say, I want you to talk to my animal, I'm like, okay, fine. Like, what kind of topics do you want me to focus on? And that's hard for the human handlers or companions. So I like to give a list of questions just to guide their request.
What are some of the questions?
So some of them is like, what are your favorite places in the house? What's your favorite thing to do? What scares you? What makes you happy? Do you have, because Ash is a rescue, there are questions like, do you have like a love that you left behind? Is there like an animal partner that you had before you came to this home that you miss? What's your job? Is there something you'd like to do? Things like that. And of course, the other is like, what's your favorite food? Is the like things like that. Those are the like the most common ones.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to hear your side of the story, because the side I heard from Jen and Mike was that they were very curious about what to do about crating, you know, Ash, and you, for all the reasons you described. And then I think you asked about food.
Yeah, food was one of the things, and I also asked about where he was before too.
Yes, you did. And Ash didn't want to tell me too much about that. The images that I saw was like he was in this, like a pen, like a little, like a pen with a few other dogs around. And the only image he showed me was a pair of hands, man hands, picking up like him as a puppy. And I could see him looking into the sunlight. So I knew Ash was young and he was in a litter and somebody had picked him up, but that's the only imagery that I got.
Yeah.
And if I'm missing something, I
No,
can look at
that was it.
yeah, and I don't
so-
remember much more. He didn't want to share too much more from that. Regarding the food, I asked him, oh, you wanted to know what was your favorite treat? Or
Yeah.
And the first thing I got was fish sticks. And I said, this can't be right, but I wrote it down anyway.
Yeah.
And he also said liver and, you know, like the yummy treats that I always like to give to anyone who
Yes,
walks by my house. So I went over and I was telling Jen, like, his favorite treat is fish sticks, and her eyes got big. She said, oh my God, I was baking, you were making
I was
some-
doing fish.
you
Yeah,
were
I would
making
make
something.
fish,
And,
yeah.
and Ash was so interested. He wanted to eat it so badly.
Yeah.
But I don't think you had given him any.
No, because I had seasoning on it, so I
Yeah.
didn't trust to give it to him. And yeah, because I was baking fish, and I was my other dogs would be like, yeah, whatever. But if I had steak or hamburgers,
They
they
were
would be all over the
about it.
place.
Yeah.
But with fish, like Ash was like trying to like go, like when I was opening the oven, I was like, no, watch out, you know. And I had never had that before with the dog, so it really made sense that that Ash was like that. Yes.
He liked fish.
So was it how did he tell you? Was it a smell?
No, it was the word fish sticks just came.
Oh, he said
immediately.
fish sticks.
That's-
Okay, smart dog.
I didn't see a picture. I didn't smell anything, and it was just fish sticks, like immediately. And I don't. Were they salmon? So I don't know if it was.
It was just like a mahi mahi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
Just
But they were
mahi-mahi.
like they were in stick form though. They
Yeah,
were
like
very long
longer-
fillets, like long
Yes.
narrow fillets, and so they would look like a kind of a stick.
Yes, and I couldn't believe it, and I thought, am I channeling a cat? But no, it was him. He was telling me he likes fish sticks. It was.
And he's looking for them now.
No, we'll get something. We'll have some later.
And then tell me about the kennel.
Okay.
How was that for you?
So the kennel was, he didn't really like being in there. He was fine to go in there, but the one complaint that he told me was that it's too far from Jen and Mike because the kennel was on the lower floors, and Jen and Mike, you know, would be kind of upstairs at night or whenever they would go out anywhere, and he didn't like being so far away from the humans. And so he let me know that, and he also said, one question that I love asking every single animal that I work with or do a reading with is, what is your soul contract with your humans? Because everybody is here to teach you something, or, you know, and vice versa. So the answer he told me was trust. Like, trust that I'm here, I'm listening to you, you guys need to trust that I'm gonna be whatever you want me to be. Like, he's there for you. And he also told me there's more that you guys have within this life together, but he's not ready to tell me at that point. So, and I had written that down too.
So we need to do another reading.
or it's something that you and Mike need to figure out on your own.
Okay.
Because sometimes that happens. Sometimes the animal is willing to tell you, but other times it's something that you have to learn on your own. Yeah. Hi, handsome.
Please come here where we can showcase you with your beautiful tail.
Can we give him a little snacky?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, this would be a good time for a snack, especially one that will make him face the camera.
Oh, you know what? I'll give it. I know, handsome. These are your favorites. I'll give it to you, and you can turn him around.
Over there.
Here.
Ash,
It's over there, boo.
come here.
This is the big. This is the mother load.
Sit. There you go.
So what's funny about this is that when Mike and Jen and Ash were on, I asked them about tricks, and Ash did all these tricks, and he really was ripped off because we didn't give him treats. So we have to make up for it.
Pet owner, I'm sorry, Ash.
Hey, bud. I know.
But the crate question was really important to you because,
Yeah.
Jen, because you didn't know if he would be safe, and
Yeah.
so that was reassuring.
And that's so funny too because of the crate being downstairs, and you hadn't been to my house at that point
Yeah,
to know
he
that it was
didn't-
downstairs.
oh, yeah.
And he does like to. We give him the run of the first 2 floors, and he loves to look outside the windows. And what's interesting is like when we walk over, we have a wonderful neighborhood with fantastic neighbors, and a lot of us get together for parties and cookouts and stuff. And if Mike and I are walking home late at night, we hear him. We're walking up the street, and we can hear him a few houses down barking inside because he likes to wait up in the top window because he can see out everywhere. And so I think he likes to know where we are and when we're going to be back. And
There's one more thing I remember. I was looking at my notes. Most animals love it when you talk to them. They might not be able to understand what a grocery store is, but if you're going to go out to go get your groceries, tell them like, hey, I'm going to get human food and I'll be back. They like knowing, they like information, they like staying in the mix of things. While they might not care that much, they still enjoy knowing what you're doing, who you're with, where you're going, when you're coming back, things like that. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of animals like to sit and look out the window, because they like seeing what goes on in the world.
Well, and what was funny too is that Margaret, now it's made me remember this. You had said that he likes it when I talk to him like he's a baby, and like raise my go. Sorry to do.
Look at that tail.
Like when I raise my voice like that, like and I make it a little high pitch.
Yeah, do some more of that because he was looking.
He's a good boy.
Hey, bud.
So it's funny. So when I really want him to know how good of a boy he is, how good he's doing, I like to raise my voice up and do that. Ash, you are too smart.
I know. I can't say no to that face.
I know.
No, you can't.
Hey, bud. If you
Now these aren't fish chicks, but they'll do.
No, yeah, I know.
there you go. They're not fish sticks, but it's still good stuff.
Yeah, there's still good stuff.
You're
Okay,
gonna
Ash,
get
come
the
here.
bag
Come
to
here.
go home. Don't
Come
worry.
here.
That's your goodie bag.
Come here, Ash. Ash.
I don't think you're convincing him.
I know.
Stay,
It's let him. You'll get more when you go home.
It's okay. Ash.
Well, there's so much to talk about. So just for our audience
Mm-hmm.
watching, maybe they've never communicated with an animal. How do you know? How do you know if you're communicating with an animal?
It's really hard unless you really sharpen your mind and focus. But I would say if like a random thought pops into your head, for example, let's say you're sitting and watching TV and your dog kind of walks past you and looks at you, and then you get a thought in your head like, oh, I should fill the water bowl. I would say, hey, trust that that's something your animal is telling you, because you're focused on the TV and then all of a sudden this thought comes into your head. So if you pay attention to those little things, then you're absolutely communicating with your animal. You might not always recognize it. You might think it's your own thought, but if your mind is doing something else and a random thing pops in, I would say, hey, trust that it's your animal companion trying to tell you something. Yeah, that's a big one, because sometimes it is very hard to differentiate your own thoughts from any other noise that comes in.
And so in your practice, do you practice meditation or mind clearing? Can you
Yes.
give some advice about that?
Yes, absolutely. Anytime I begin a session, I take about 20 minutes to sit and clear my mind as much as possible. And sometimes it takes longer because the buzz of thoughts coming into your head is hard to clear. But when I meditate, I kind of put myself in a different state of consciousness, like a different brainwave. I think it's the alpha. Yes, it's the alpha state of mind or consciousness. And then when you're in the alpha mode, you can kind of open your mind and send and receive things that don't have to be verbal communication. So I definitely do that. And then once I get there, I know I'm connected to an animal once I feel like a very like a warm kind of tender feeling right in the center of my chest, and I know the animal is like open to communicating because I'll offer a bit of light that comes from my chest, and when I feel like it's not a painful feeling at all. It's like tender. When I feel that, I know the animal is open and ready. And most of the time, they're so eager to talk because humans are not so I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? So they're not as connected as they used to be because everyone is so distracted. So animals get very excited to communicate. The second I feel that, I'm like, oh, they're ready. And it's really nice. I've never connected with an animal and was rejected, because usually they have a lot to say and they have a lot of things they want their humans to know, or they have a lot to say.
That is really a wonderful thought to close on, Margaret.
Thank
so
you.
we appreciate this so much. Pet Info Cafe and our viewers will benefit so much for this. Thank you, Ash, very much for joining us. Thank you, Jen, for joining us again.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, and for more information, we'll have that information on our website. In the words of Albert Einstein, animals are not just creatures, they are the heartbeat of the earth. Thank you for visiting my Pet Info Cafe, where the refills are bottomless and love of pets is limitless. The cafe is closing now, so fill up, and I'll see you next time. In the meantime, you may visit Pet Info Cafe for more great information about pets.